did.
It was his letter that put him over.
Well, I wasn't the only letter, but
I know, no, it's great.
then we did the press release too, last week.
Yeah,
And Giles was there, and
yeah.
How are you?
Keith,
Nancy.
everybody, and Nancy was there, I was there. Didn't you admit? It's their spring break right now. I'm in DC on the 6th. 6th to the 9th. That's all right. I will call the meeting to order. Welcome to tonight's study session for the city of Casa Grande, and thank you all for being here. Our first presentation is a discussion related to the activities of the Pinal Partnership. Mr. Tony Smith, who's the president and CEO of the Pinal Partnership, is here tonight. Tony, welcome.
Thank you very much, Mayor McFarland, council members. It's a pleasure to be before you again. And I want to just provide a brief update on the activities of Pinal Partnership and some of the work of the committees and some of the special projects we've been doing in the last year or so. So we'll get started. Just for those who don't know what Pinal Partnership, we are a nonprofit, 501c6, which means that we can do a limited amount of lobbying as long as it's tied to our main mission, which is economic development, and we don't make it our main business. We are currently have 24 board of directors, over 200 members of many of these organizations and many more that are our corporate partners, our associate partners, and individual and nonprofits. So, as I mentioned, our mission's all about economic development, and economic development comes in many, many forms. It could be transportation and infrastructure. It can be water management, housing, workforce. So how do we accomplish the mission? We accomplish the mission mainly in three ways. One is our monthly breakfast events. Those are held each month, hitting the most important topics of the day. This one we're going to have on March 29th at the Elements in the city of Maricopa is going to be focusing on transportation. Transportation presented in several ways. So you'll want to sign up and come to Maricopa for that presentation. Our panels are subject matter experts. We choose them to make it interesting and sometimes entertaining. So those are what we have, and we do committees that inform or do problem solving also. Next, we do specific projects that advance economic opportunity. So for examples of some of these, our monthly breakfast topics are the mayor and city manager updates. I thank Mayor McFarland and City Manager Larry Raines for participating oftentimes in those. We do topics like water management, trying to hit the balance between what is available and the demand. I always want to thank Mayor McFarland for being on our Water Resources Committee and co-chairing that one. Also a board member. Elliot Pollux is one of our favorites, and that is presented by Danny Court. He does that in December of every year, and we normally do that out at Wild Horse Pass. As I mentioned, transportation is always a hot topic in Pinal County. And then whatever the hot item of the time period, Pinal County in the news, we try to have a panel that informs and entertains on that. As I mentioned, the committees, of which I think a lot of folks don't realize we have so many committees and they're so actively engaged. Post-COVID, we've been able to rebuild our committees, and they're chaired or co-chaired by subject matter experts. And if you have one of these that you're interested in, we encourage you by your membership with Pinal Partnership to be on one of those committees. Economic development, we move that from city to city. Oftentimes the professional is charged with that. City's responsibility is leading and informing others what's happening in that particular area or city. Government relations is really busy this time of year, trying to understand which bills we favor, which ones we're trying to play defense, and just help to inform our membership. Transportation and infrastructure meets normally on about a quarterly, but we also focus transportation on air transportation, surface transportation, anything as it relates to transportation. Business and education has really been focused on workforce development. Joe Millman oftentimes provides us with good information and what they are working and the county is working on. Water Resources, as I mentioned, is co-chaired by Mayor McFarland, and they are helping us to look at some of the bills that are going through the legislature and being able to support or play defense against the ones that are not going to be healthy for our county. Health and Human Services is looking at housing and affordable housing. Open space and trails. We want to connect by recreation and tourism, make the opportunities for our visitors and our residents to have these type of activities. We like to connect many of our communities by the trail system, and there's other new trails that are being developed by the county and supported by various communities. When we compete with Utah, Colorado, California, all these various states, they do a lot of outdoor recreation. And having an active open space and trails organization committee that helps us keep those ideas and those areas fresh. We want to preserve those type of lands for the next generations. Renewable energy, this is our newest, and we're looking at all forms of renewable energy. Solar, of course, but there's battery storage associated with that, and there's biofuels, etc. So there's a lot that we're starting to look at on renewable energy. Some of the projects that Pinal Partnership has been involved in the past. We assisted the Pinal RTA and Pinal County in that 2022 transportation ballot election. Unfortunately, we lost it by a few votes, but we were happy to be there to help anybody that would listen. We partnered with Pinal County also to create a interactive map viewer. I realized when I was county supervisor, we needed to have some type of tool that site selectors and economic development professionals could use that they could even access from their smartphone. And that would give them an opportunity to zoom in on a particular area, Casa Grande, for example, and see all the key assets that you may be wanting to look at. If you haven't seen this in action, please go to the Pinal County interactive map site, and you can select an area and you can turn on and turn off layers, and you'd be amazed at the various items that you can pull up. As an outcrop of this tool, we have the updated county map. And I brought copies of both sizes, the small copy and the rather large copy, but this is the small one. But it has a lot of the key information that we have had in the past map, and then we've updated it and added more. It has the key transportation linkages. It has the city limits. It has a rail. It has all those various assets. We believe that these two tools can be used by site selectors and economic development professionals in order to help them show and explain what we have available in Pinal County. Some of our current projects also include is renewing the existing half-cent transportation maintenance fund. And I've shared a flyer with the city manager that the county asked me to bring, and that just gives the high points regarding that maintenance fund. I know that the city of Casa Grande, they make use of that revenue stream, and many of the other areas outside your city limits make use of that. That is a very, very important, and Pinal Partnership will once again be out there explaining the need for this within the various chambers and any other audience that we can get. We also do fun things in Pinal Partnership. We believe we're going to, if the board of directors approves it, we're going to have a July Diamondbacks baseball event, and then we're going to have a fall 2024 golf tournament. This will be at Wild Horse Pass, and it will probably the proceeds from that will help one of our local nonprofits. And finally, we have launched back in 2023 in the fall the Emerging Leaders Initiative, and we're growing that organization with various network events and forums. What we're trying to accomplish is hit the middle managers, we're not necessarily putting an age on it, but those who are the next leaders in the cities and the counties, and we want to give them an opportunity to network and be able to have events that they can share. We want to encourage them to identify with Pinal Partnership and be able to spread that information among themselves. So with that concludes my brief presentation, Mayor, and if there's any questions from the council, with your permission, I'd be happy to answer them.
Well, thank you, Tony. Does anybody have any questions, council? Anyone? They do a lot of good work. There's the breakfasts are once a month, and I know I've been on a couple panels, and we've had a lot of different people participate, everything from city managers to mayors to water experts to land experts, transportation. So it's kind of a little mix. We get a little bit of Maricopa in there, county, the city, state of Maricopa, not the city of Maricopa, but but the state of Maricopa comes down and actually participates, and so it's good to have them there as well.
I just want to mention, Tony had talked about the Emerging Leaders Initiative, and I had the opportunity to go to their first meeting, and it was packed, and it was not that, you know, I'm young like most of them that they're after, but it was interesting to be there and to see how many people were really looking for some direction to get involved. And so I think the excitement is there for our younger generation of business people, and so I think it's a great opportunity for people that are just, you know, might be just in Casa Grande versus Maricopa, to bring them together the way all of us have been able to come together and work with people across, you know, city lines. So it's a great idea.
Mayor McFarland, Councilmember McBride, thank you for those comments. Yes, I've even been a little bit surprised with the popularity and the attendance. And we have a core group of about 6 who are kind of behind the scenes putting together the plans and planning the next events. And they are highly enthused and excited about what they're doing and what that can do for that group. But thank you for your comments.
Yeah, and I especially appreciate the map, Tony, because especially the call out for Casa Grande being so large and so prominent. So I do appreciate that. Of course, maybe Wilson Hillgart might have had something to do with that too. So
there's a
lot
good,
to show
good
for the city of
possibility.
Casa Grande.
Yes, you are really rocking it here in Casa Grande. So I congratulate you and the council members and leadership for what's happening. It's all good for Pinal County, and we're very excited. What you do here is affecting the workforce for many, many miles around it, and it takes us working together and working on improving infrastructure in order to make it happen. Thank you very much for your leadership.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, thank you, Tony. No other questions? Thank you, Mr. Smith. Appreciate it.
I brought it now.
Well, you're leaving us some extras over here, aren't you? There you go. All right. If you guys don't have a map, you should grab one of those maps. They're pretty cool.
Mr. Mayor, as Mr. Smith was showing the slides, you did see a picture of the city managers and my peer from Maricopa celebrating his retirement. You notice he was up celebrating.
All right. The next presentation we have is a discussion on digital twins technology initiatives. So, Mr. Rains, you want to introduce this topic?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'll start. I'll give a bit of an introduction, then I will certainly hand the baton to more knowledgeable and capable people on this particular subject. But tonight's focus, as you can see from the agenda, it really focuses on partnerships, and we had an opportunity for Mr. Smith to give a bit of an overview on the Pinal partnership. And now we're going to talk about a partnership that the city of Casa Grande shared with a private business in the community, Lucid Motors. About a year ago, you received my first notice and memorandum on the topic of digital twins, and digital twin technology, which I suspect was a new piece of terminology in the eyes and the ears of many. And really, digital twins technology, I will not do this service. I know that the gentleman that will speak behind me will focus a lot more on it, but it really is a virtual model or a digital version of a physical object. And it really is used to assist entities with a variety of in a variety of ways, but particularly in planning efforts for growth and the like. And so we were approached by the Lucid Motors team. They had engaged the GeoPogo team to come in and work through a scope that would, in essence, create a digital twin of their work here in Casa Grande, and they were kind enough to expand that into the city of Casa Grande. And so for the last year or so, our teams have worked collectively in actually sharing data sets, talking about growth patterns, potential digital twins implementation, and operational use. And tonight, I want to give the mayor and council a brief overview of the work that's been done. I think you're gonna find it very impressive. We essentially found along the way that we got more than what we bargained for. I can say that, and I know these two gentlemen are excited to share this, but what we want to share tonight is core functionality, the base terrain and embedded models that we've actually been utilizing or actually implementing, installing, I guess is a better word. And tonight to assist us with this is, first of all, we have Ethan Garcia from Lucid. Did he leave? Oh, he's back there. Hello, Ethan. The rest of the staff had other obligations, so they left. We have Mr. Rich Lechner, who has really kind of spearhead this along with my copy. And driving today is our very own Sam Leonard. He's been the gentleman on the ground, really having the chance to test what this product can do. And so with that, I'll hand it over to Rich and let him take off.
Great. Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm just going to show a couple slides just to give you an overview, and then more importantly, Mike will take over with Sam's help and actually take you through the platform. But let me just share a moment, what we were trying to achieve. First of all, this is a project that was funded by Lucid Motors. They brought me on, as well as GeoPogo, to help them implement this vision. And what they were looking for was a tool that could be utilized by themselves and other stakeholders, principally the city, but others, as you'll see, to assure sustainable growth. As they grew, the community would grow successfully together. Digital twins are something, as Larry said, a digital representation of a real thing. It could be anything from a motor in a vehicle to an entire nuclear power plant to a city. They could do many things, and what you'll see here is sort of the base platform and base level functionality, and we'll talk about what the primary objectives were that we agreed upon with Larry and his team as we embarked on this project. Almost a year ago we started. We delivered the first code drop in September, and this represents about the fourth code drop, and you'll see a significant, hopefully you'll be impressed with what's been delivered so far. Let's see here. I'm pushing the right button. There we go. So one of the things that differentiates this virtual representation from, say, a interactive map is that digital twins are meant to be operational tools, not just planning tools. They're very effective for planning, but more importantly, they're utilized. Again, whether you're a manufacturer or you're a city manager or city planner, they're intended to allow you to compare and contrast what you thought was going to be happening with what actually is happening and make changes on the fly. So you can plan for growth, and then as those plans come into fruition and as things change, as they often do, you can envision what those changes will mean to your plans and make adjustments along the way. Again, this, whether or not you are operating a facility or you're operating a city. So these are some of the objectives you have in front of you, are to sort of project growth over time in the context of the systems and services that you have today, and what strain and stress will that put on there, to ensure that your physical infrastructure can keep up with that demand, and to align services, whether you're talking about education, healthcare, commercial services, that will be aligned with your population growth, but also the shifting population demographics as you bring new companies like Lucid and others into the community. And then finally, to actively engage the community at large, to generate excitement, to overcome objections. And again, the demo, you'll see real implementation, real examples of how that can be done. Whoops, sorry. Let's see here. Forward. One more. Okay, this is my last slide. Oh, no, I have one more slide after this. So there are a number of use cases. The ones in bold, the top four, are the ones that when we met, again, about 9 months ago with Larry and his team, we agreed were the ones that were the highest priority to implement and to make sure that we could bring to fruition. So master planning, community engagement, impact analysis, and commercial development and recruitment or business development. All these other things that you see listed there are examples, real-life examples of how this kind of technology is being implemented in many other cities. But I'll tell you that you all have the advantage of having worked with cities as far-reached as Singapore, San Francisco, Chicago, and many others. The advantage that Casa Grande has over any of those other cities is twofold. One, you have a receptivity and a desire to embrace this kind of technology and leverage it for your good. And secondly, you can bring together all the relevant organizations and stakeholders and have them sit in one room and actually talk about use cases and objectives. And I tell you, you would never be able to do that in San Francisco. And that's where I'm from. It's just too hard, too complicated. But you all, your community and the organizations that comprise your government are so well interconnected, it's a joy to work with. Let me just say that. So finally, whoops, the scope of this, because again, you could scope a digital twin very broadly or very narrowly. Here, we're trying to emulate the city of Casa Grande as a complex systems of systems with views that are relevant to all the different stakeholders. And who are the stakeholders? From the city's perspective, it's primarily, or initially at least, planning and development and public works. The utilities, we've had conversations with water and power already. Industrial and commercial partners. Lucid is a great example of one of those, but all your other primary big, large commercial entities or industrial entities would be welcome to have a seat on the platform for their own planning purposes. It's a common platform, it's a piece of software, but each individual instance for each stakeholder for security reasons. So the city will have their own instance. Lucid will have theirs. Arizona Water will have theirs. And if we work with the county, and we're meeting with the county tomorrow, the county would have its own instance. Over time, the long-term vision is to have a shared instance in the cloud with security that still allows data sets to be kept private as appropriate. But initially, it's all separate instances, and that's what you're going to see is the instance that resides here in Sam's environment. And then there are multiple data layers, and you'll see that most of those are common across instances, but there'll be separate ones. For example, in speaking with Arizona Water or with the power company, they have fine-grained detail about their infrastructure that they may not want, for security reasons, other people to see. So they can have that layer of data about the city on their own private platform and only share what's relevant. Lucid is doing their implementation as a walls out. So they're not interested in sharing with you the internal operations of their manufacturing facility. But they show the footprint. You'll see the footprint of the Lucid site, both today and in the future. And what they'll be providing is the ins and outs, like how many people, what will be the employee growth, what will be the manufacturing growth, how many trucks in, how many parts in, cars going out. The reason that's important is because that puts stress on your infrastructure, right? So that level of data will be shared, but the internal vision and operations of the Lucid facility will not be on the common platform. Make sense? Okay. So with that, hopefully I've piqued your interest a little bit. We'll be happy to take questions at the end, but I think it's appropriate to turn it over to Mike and Sam to let you actually see the platform, what we've done so far. I think that will generate a number of questions, which we'd be happy to answer for you. Okay?
Thank you, Rich. All right, Sam, you ready? So for everybody to know, Sam and I have been rehearsing to give you a fabulous presentation. My name is Michael Hoppe. I'm from GeoPogo. We are a Oakland, Berkeley-based startup. We build this great software platforms here for architectural designers, urban planners, and fine municipalities like yourselves. I would like to thank you for inviting me here today. Beautiful city, beautiful region. It's just fabulous to get to explore this country, so absolutely love it. And Sam, let's kick this off. So I would like to present to you, Sam, when you're ready with the mouse, the full 3D digital twin of Casa Grande. This has been it. We have built, who here in the room has ever heard SimCity for Real Cities? Or SimCity? There we go, we got a couple here. Our dream and our vision is to build SimCity for real cities. And with that, what that means is that we have this command center, this full-blown digital twin of the city in its absolute current state. And we can do a lot of incredible things with technology like this. It really can take urban planning, master planning, civic engagement, community engagement, and simulation to a whole nother level. The opportunity that we had to work with Lucid Motors and the city, with Sam, with Aaron, with everybody, is that we started to build a foundation for what this platform can become. And Sam, take us over to that Lucid factory site over here. So Lucid, when we first started this program, was very generous, and they gave us the 3D model of their entire factory. And usually 3D models like this exist only for highly skilled engineers. It'll be CAD and 3D models from Autodesk that only highly technical people can open and operate. And the beauty of platforms like these is that it makes complex models like that highly accessible and highly relevant to people that would never know anything about these softwares, and suddenly they're seeing them in these beautiful 3D rendered applications like this. This is just one factory plant, and I understand Casa Grande is about to go on a major economic boom. And so with that, we started to anticipate what happens when other factories come and give you their models, what happens when other developers come and they start looking at building new projects. Can we envision the future of this city all at the same time? Instead of it just growing up randomly around the population, can we show them all at once? This is the future. This is what the city is going to look like by 2030, and this is what we envision. Sam, let's go up to the skies. So we're going to go up. We started working with data layers. Are you familiar with ArcGIS or Esri? So these data layers, again, are things that are only accessible to highly trained people. And as Sam is going to show you, and this is just the foundation, it's level 1, we can begin to showcase the ArcGIS data layer plans. And it's almost there. Click on it one more time. Let's fight Murphy's Law. Oh, there we go. Okay, good. Let's find it. And zoom out just a little tiny bit more, just so we can see it. So we've been able to take multiple data layer sets, and we just started with these 5, but we can overlay entire data layer sets from not only zoning and things like the general plan of 2030 showing the expansion of the city, but we can eventually showcase traffic, live traffic. We can showcase transportation networks. We can showcase, again, rail, infrastructure, city services. And we even began looking at city water, city sewer, and of course the reservoirs that are around here. In the future, this data we'll be able to simulate this style of data, and we'll be able to determine outcomes in the future based on those simulations. And what's really beautiful with this is that the way we're building this software out is that it won't live in just a technical professional's desk. You can make this more broadly accessible to people within City Hall, so it can help managers and different people make decisions quicker and faster. So I think on the next, what was the next one on our list, Sam? It was the 3D models we imported, right?
The 3D models.
Yeah, 3D models. So you work with architects. Architects will design either civic projects, city buildings, or they'll do it for large commercial developers. You can import in here all architectural models from virtually any software architects use. And so we did a couple example projects in here. Sam, if you click on the Orbit Cam, it'll bring you right to one of them. There we go. So we just did a couple very brief examples of complex architectural models. So we understand that the city will probably experience a population boom. You're going to experience new neighborhoods being built, new housing initiatives being done. And we just popped in a few of these just for example. But we wanted to showcase the power that this gives to community residents to understand the change that's going to happen around them and give them visuals that they can make impacts on.
This is just.
It's a model.
This is the model.
It's a model. It's just a model. That's gonna be a fight.
Yeah, we just saw a lot of very unhappy neighbors there.
They're just examples. They're just examples. What do we? Okay, yeah, we gotta do that one right.
Maybe not look at that part.
But we'll start. But we wanted to showcase. We have a philosophy at GeoPogo. The philosophy is that transparency and trust and showcasing ideas and visions on a common plane will give people at least a more accurate representation of what they think a project's going to become. And oftentimes what happens is a lot of fears, a lot of assumptions, a lot of thoughts of what people think is going to happen. They let that really cloud the perception versus talking about what is actually going to become. And that's what platforms like these have done and can do for cities growing into the future. And we're going to try this here. There we go. We got it. So in addition to not only being able to see things from an aerial perspective, as the city grows and builds out and architects and developers come to you and they give you their 3D models, they can visualize and simulate what future neighborhoods are going to look like and what they're going to look like in context of the existing city, so that if a new development comes in, you can see things like line of sight. You can see how the impacts are going to have. Sam, we went overzealous. I'm sorry.
No high
But
rise.
we can showcase what things are going to become. Maybe not super tall buildings, but some nicer, finer developments like this. And it really gives people a common place to say, this is the future. This is the world that we're all going to collectively step into together. Another added benefit, and we'll just do a touch of it, is we started building in features like time of day adjustments. For some municipalities, this is very important. They want to see how shadow lines and shadow impacts are going to affect their neighbors. If there is a very tall building, you don't want to shadow casting on neighborhoods. And line of sight as well. We know a lot of people are concerned if there is a mid-level building coming in. They don't want people looking into their backyards. And so a lot of fears come about that. And we know from experience that a lot of developers will showcase this as a truth to say, look, you actually can't see into your backyard because we had the building project back 40, 50, 60 feet. And it helps calm those fears. It really gives people all a common basis of understanding. So that really is the beginning of the platform that we built for you. We hope you like it. We hope this was very engaging and exciting. I think that as we build this, and as Sam and Aaron and members of the building department and other departments within the city come to use this, we hope you get great use out of it. We hope it helps you. And we hope to see where you're requesting and saying we need it to do X, Y, and Z. And I hope Casa Grande takes this into the future and really showcases an example across North America how cities can use this technology to plan out the best versions of themselves. So with that, I thank you.
Well, thank you, Mike.
We'd be happy to take any questions you might have about the project.
So you can underlay or overlay, however you want to call it, all kinds of data into this, right? I mean, census data, census tract data.
Yes.
So, okay.
Yep.
That's pretty cool.
And it's and again, one of the advantages of having multiple stakeholders is not only does each individual stakeholder, like a utility company, bring data to the table, but hopefully they also bring some funding to the table to integrate that data so that then all benefit from the collaborative effort. So it was always intended to have this be a multi-user kind of a program supported by and funded by multiple entities. And Lucid, again, everything you've seen here to date has been funded exclusively by Lucid and with no cost to the city or the community.
Yeah, and I can imagine overlaying, like, for example, where the auditorium is today, overlaying what a fire station / office complex might look like on that piece of property.
Right, and if you can imagine that says if a new employer comes to town, whether it be Lucid or some other large industrial company comes in and says, we anticipate 1,000 new families moving over the next 5 years, okay, based on your master plan for 2030, where would the housing be for that? What does that mean in terms of, based on the average demographic of a Lucid worker, I'm using them as an example, What does that mean in terms of educational requirements? How many, will you need additional elementary schools, additional high schools? Where will those need to be? From a fire and safe police perspective, if we grow the community according to the master plan, but perhaps it grows faster than the master plan because of an influx of new workers from a company like Lucid, what does that mean in terms of where you need additional capacity? And you can do that kind of scenario planning with this as well and visualize what that would look like. Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
So, this is amazing. And Mike, your presentation was very, it was great, enthusiastic, I loved it. So my question, and I'm sure you know, like, how do we keep this current? You know, like, because I mean, how often is it updated? How is it updated? And then as you started saying the overlay, like, you could do demographics like income and education
Yeah, all
per
the
area
census, all the
and everything.
census,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just the more you, like, there's so much you can do. And then I guess my follow-up would be, who gets to, like, can anyone look at this, like, parts of it? You know, I understand the security levels, but
Yeah.
can the public access at least the map and kind of see where stuff is?
Oh, very good. Okay, so I'll start with the first.
That's a lot of questions. I can fill you in as we go.
We'll start with the first one. So we got
Keeping it
very-
current, yeah.
So the current part, we got very lucky. When we first started the project, Google, who we partnered with, didn't have any information whatsoever for this region. And I very politely asked, and I said, you know, if there were an opportunity, could it be so? And in that time, we had worked to curate our own data, try and build up the own city. And then finally, the day came, and I think we were about to present to you, and literally, it was like an hour or two before the presentation, and we looked, and I got an email, and they said, it's live. And I was like, what? and voila, Google put the data up. And that was just fabulous, because what that means is that every single year that Google is flying planes and using satellite imagery, this is going to automatically update constantly with that. So as the city grows, this grows. That is just phenomenal. The second part of it, for the data structure, the way we set it up is that if you come to us and say we would like to see this set of data come in, then we would set up a condition where there's a exchange fee, and then we plug that data into there for you. and then the third...
There's a catch.
Go to my house, I'm sorry.
He backs up to the golf course.
And then the third one for the public, so right now, the data
Off
lives
the fourth
on
green.
every computer it's installed. We envision a day where it's all going to be web hosted.
Oh, so this is just like local
Yeah,
hosted
just
right now?
local hosting. Yeah, we envision a day where it's web hosted, and it's that web hosted application part where, because it's on a website link, then it can be shared with anybody. And when that happens, if there's certain capital projects or projects we want to excite the community about, that's the opportunity to put it on here and share it with them to create that engagement. And so that's something we see for the future.
I could see.
I'll stress even then, you choose, the data owner chooses what to make visible. So,
Well, this has tremendous use for infrastructure, for planning, for all kinds of things. I mean,
hiking trails.
bike paths, road improvements, traffic flow. We could see what opening Colorado Boulevard from Courtson to Cottonwood might improve things. And also, I mean, as the chairman of the PRTR, Pinal Regional Transportation Authority, we're in the planning processes today of a regional plan.
Yep.
So how far-reaching is this in the county? Is it just Casa Grande right now?
Aaron, sorry,
They have a
Sam,
meeting
do you want
tomorrow.
to go for a little fly?
Next week.
but
Next
that's,
month.
to your point, Mr. Mayor, that's exactly why we're wanting to engage with Pinal County tomorrow, because, one of the risks of this is that you can have, just like in the early days of PCs, remember there were multiple standards in this, you don't want a balkanization of these kinds of digital models, right? Data sets can easily be exchanged, but ideally, you'd have people all working off one version, one platform with multiple data layers. And so that's our hope, is to expand this. We've also had conversations with Arizona State University about their helping support that sort of expansion in the future with their expertise. They actually have collaboratories to design to facilitate that kind of thing. So there's lots of opportunities for how this could be expanded, with whom, and with support from different organizations.
Well, this literally supports the old adage that, you know, a picture's worth 1,000 words. And so by showing it, graphically like this, you could draw a whole new Pinal Regional Transportation Plan on this platform, and then take that around to the communities and show what would it look like if you added a freeway 101 in Pinal County, and it came all the way down in the county and then back up to Phoenix, and what would that loop do to the region?
In addition, sir, sorry, I get excited about this. In addition, you can simulate what the construction itself would do to traffic during that 6, 12, 18, 24-month period when that road is being constructed. Because you can simulate what happens to the traffic gets diverted, what does that do to satellite roads, and be able to, again,
Where's our detours gonna be?
inform the community about the impact, the short-term impact of that sort of expansion. So again, it's not just a visualization tool, but it's a planning tool, it's a simulation and operational tool as well.
It's his first time at a meeting. Turn his
Sorry.
phone off. One more thing, if I may.
Go ahead.
This
Go ahead,
thanks
Matt.
to Lucid for sponsoring this. I mean, it's a powerful tool. Thank you.
And we love you guys.
So, yeah, so for the plan, I can see this big at planning level. So like, say if there was a 10-story building like you put there,
Yep.
could you like
That we're
look
not-
out of the window?
Yes.
From, like say a 6-foot person is standing in the window and this is what they could see
Yes,
of your
exactly.
backyard. Or if you're standing in your backyard and that's what your view would look like, instead of us having the picture with the little
That's right.
triangle.
Exactly.
GeoPogo's actually done this for Detroit. And so you could, if he had his laptop connected, he could show you from the Detroit model what it looks like inside of any one of a number of large high-rise buildings and what the views are, what the shadow effects are, et cetera. Incredibly powerful tool for cities
show
that have that
traffic
kind of dense,
on I-10.
high-rise-like activity.
Yep.
This is I-10 right here. You can even show traffic congestion on I-10, right?
Almost.
Google does that. It's always red.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what my, go
Just,
ahead.
just a comment, years ago, this reminds me of Sim City that my son had when it first comes out, but I feel like I'm gonna ask you a question off of Shark Tank. So does anybody else have, patents on this type of,
And yeah, that's a great question. I would say, so the thing about patents and software is you can always build software better. So patents for software never work the same. I would say if you're going to create a moat in terms of how do you protect yourself for building this, because there will be a time when people see, other startups see this and they go, oh wow, that's a really thoughtful idea. The only thing that we can hope to do is make, number one, this software the best user experience possible, and number two, the most accessible, and number three, a place where all the data for entire regions is simulated into one environment.
And I would add to that, by the way, that GeoPogo supports the platform supports all sort of the standard data set formats. So it's not a proprietary thing where you're buying into, so you're not making Microsoft versus Apple choice or something like that. The data set it supports integration of is all the ones that you would expect.
thank you.
Go ahead, Lisa.
No, I love it, especially I'm such a visual person, so. So you talked a little bit about support and funding, and so currently Lucid is sponsoring this. So where are we in the future with Lucid, and how long, do we have that support, and what are we looking for in the future?
That's right.
So Lucid has funded everything to date through June of this year.
Okay.
And at that point, then they've sort of delivered what they've committed to. They're going to continue to use the platform internally.
There's a
They're
Death Star
committed
there.
to share data with the city and other stakeholders. But from a funding perspective, they're now saying, okay, we've done the initial thing. So hence the discussions with utilities, with the county, with the city, about if you want to extend, add additional data layers to traffic forecasting or whatever, that's a whole nother thing. And just would work with you to, or Geopogo would not, to size it and then present a proposal.
So do we expect a proposal soon, Larry, or?
Well, I could see the county also being a partner
Right.
in this, so.
I think, at least from my perspective, what I'm anticipating is understanding what both government and private sector partners may be available, what we actually want to utilize as various data sets, and then ultimately allowing them to essentially crafting a scope and allowing them to put a proposal together.
But now partnership was just here, that might be,
Yeah, there's certainly a potential
they have-
partner as well. The
Yes.
county, Pinal
Sure.
Partnership, really any of the economic development organizations, you know. And Richard, I expect to see this at every presentation now, this whole 3D stuff.
Any other questions?
Oh, thank you.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Again, I cannot tell you, and
Very
I think
cool.
Mike would echo this, what a pleasure it's been to work with your team here.
Well, thank you.
And by that, I include sort of the extension to the utilities as well. Having worked in other cities, I promise you, we could not have accomplished in 9 months what we've done here.
All right.
In that period of time. Just, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You tell our legislators that, please?
And Mr. Mayor, if I can, the same goes for Rich and Mike. They've been fantastic to work with. They've certainly have allowed us to show our insophistication in regards to this type of technology and ultimately guide us through that. But they've been a great resource to us, and certainly appreciate the partnership with Lucid as we move down this path.
Well, great. Well,
Thank
thank
you,
you. Thank
guys.
you
Thank
all.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sam.
All right, yeah, thank you, Sam. All right, any other comments or questions? All right, well, we will stand adjourned for 10 minutes, and we'll begin our city council meeting at 7 o'clock.